Nile Gardiner is joining the conversation. What jumped out at you in this news conference?
Well, I thought it was an interesting conversation between two leaders who have not necessarily got on very well over the last 2.5 years. And I think that President Trump is certainly looking beyond Theresa May to the next British Prime Minister. It was a non-confrontational conference. We didn't see major policy disagreements between the two, but behind the scenes there are significant disagreements between Trump and May, especially over China and the 5G network, over the Iran nuclear deal, for example, also over the issue of a no-deal Brexit. President Trump is a supporter of a no-deal Brexit. Theresa May is flatly opposed to that. And so this is a relationship that has been quite complicated, quite strained over the course of the last 2.5 years. We didn't necessarily see that today, but certainly behind the scenes, I think there were some strong disagreements.
Well, she's on her way out for sure. So maybe this is not the time she feels to sort of publicly air any disagreements. And there's going to be a new prime minister in this country in a few weeks. Boris Johnson is the front runner. He had that 20 or so minute conversation with the president. What did you make of the president, his statements on Johnson, on Hunt? He's clearly picking his favorite here.
Well, I think the president knows Boris Johnson very well, and they did have this phone conversation. They've met on several occasions here. I think that Johnson is most closely aligned with where Trump is in terms of Trump's foreign policy worldview. But I don't think the president is attempting at the moment to endorse one particular candidate. And he has, I think, been in touch with a number of different candidates here. But without a doubt, I think that Boris Johnson is the Conservative Party figure who has that closest relationship with President Trump. In some ways, they're quite sort of similar individuals, very charismatic, quite clear on their viewpoints on policy matters. And I think that Johnson and Trump would actually get on very well as British and American leaders, if indeed Johnson gets the leadership of the Conservative Party.
And I was going to say, Bianca, those who dislike Trump usually are in the same camp as those who dislike Boris Johnson. And they're going to see this potentially as the same type of leader, the gaffe-prone, populist, nationalist leader taking over two big major democracies.
Yes, it's not quite as simple. People call Boris the British Trump. He's not quite. They do have some similarities, even the fact that their personal politics has shifted considerably over the years. However, Boris Johnson, even back in 2016, was saying that being mistaken for Donald Trump was one of the genuine worst moments of his life, I think he said.
And unfit to be president.
He did also say that, but has since changed his mind. He does in many ways align with some of the more Trumpian aspects of how politics is currently being conducted, but not wholly, and it's not necessarily working in his favor to have such an endorsement from President Trump. In the one sense, the Conservative Party need to mop up a lot of votes on the right because they're ceding ground to the Brexit Party, which is fully aligned with the Trump movement. Farage and Trump are very close. It's likely they might meet today, I'm hearing, at Winfield House, but we'll have to wait to see.
Well, what's interesting is Boris Johnson said he didn't have time or couldn't, because of his schedule, meet with Donald Trump today because he's at an event tonight where he's trying to woo opponents of a no-deal Brexit in his leadership campaign. Boris Johnson knows and is smart enough to know that in order to become the leader of the Conservative Party, he can't just appeal to one side of his party.
I think that, you know, for Boris Johnson, he's already spoken with the president on many occasions. He knows the presidents well. So this is not just a sort of one-off meeting possibility. I'm sure that there will be further opportunities. And right now, the main focus of Boris Johnson is to become Prime Minister. And if he does become Prime Minister, I think it will be a very strong, robust, special relationship. And I think that there will be a lot of synergy there on Brexit, especially, in particular on the US-UK free trade deal front, which is a top priority for President Trump, but also on the issue of a no-deal Brexit, and the odds are on at the moment in favor of a no-deal Brexit. And I think that President Trump actually would welcome that for the United States.
And Boris Johnson is an Atlanticist. I mean, he was born in New York, and both leaders share an adoration of Churchill, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and he's going to be the U.S. president visiting the Churchill War Rooms imminently, and we'll be covering that as well. Thank you, Nile Gardiner, Bianca. Both of you stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Robin, for now, back to you.